you're in for such a treat. Martha Creek has been a dear friend to this community and to me for quite a while. Certainly for the 6 years that I have been here as senior minister. And so, wit, wisdom, you never know what she's going to say. But I know it's going to be good. So please enjoy Martha Creek.
Oh, thank you. She doesn't know what she's going to say either. So I'm just as surprised as you are sometimes. And I'm so in a living curriculum here as I watch what is unfold. And it's the epitome in my life, of my whole life, of a call to get back to our deepest, most effective and meaningful spiritual practices, and not a denial of what is happening, not a denial of what is going on, not a denial of fear or possibility or potential, and to in that to come back to wherever we can find some comfort, some clarity of mind, some power, some peace, some faith, some understanding, whatever your powers are, whatever your practices are. And I was talking with Trish before we started today, and she used that song, for example, that she just sang so just radically wonderful for us. It's so meaningful to her heart, because that's the song she used as a child to comfort herself in times of chaos and threats, perceived or real threats, to go away, to take time away, to go into her own room, into the room of her own heart, or into her own physical room, or into her under the tree, or into her car, or wherever we can go to find something that we can listen to, a piece of music, a mantra, a song, a scripture, a 12-step, anything that's going to deepen our root systems into the wholeness of our divinity, not denying the wholeness of our humanity, and that it's not one or the other, but the both and. And as Reverend Taylor shares so beautifully, the way he's used the daily word for 35 years, and as millions of people use that daily word without any regard for what faith tradition it is, or who wrote it, or what's it based on. It's like to snap out of some of that and get anything that will bring some sanity into and some order into this very chaotic situation. That, just like as the song implies, and just like all of us know in the depths of our wisdom, that every rainstorm actually runs out of rain. There's no exceptions to it. In all of recorded history, every rainstorm eventually will run out of rain. And to whatever your practice is, and if it's daily word, then it's like take the daily word to its next level. What do these words actually mean? How am I actually going to apply this today? So I can't be in my social times. I can't go to church. I can't shop. There's nothing to shop for. We're out of everything. It's like, well, what else can I do? And it's like, oh, well, I could call my families who are in hospitals and nursing homes. I can wave at them through the window. And just the image of that, before Reverend Taylor even said it, one of my other friends had called me that's very close to her closest friend, has just turned 90. And she can't get in there. She goes every single day, and she can't get in there. So they are waving out the window and talking on the cell phone as they wave. So they found a very innovative, wholehearted, new way of being with situations that is available to us. Things like this available to us. And I was thinking about people that are dependent on their sobriety, for example, and 12-step meetings and the fellowship of 12-step meetings. And it's like whether they keep going or not is to be determined, but to take, that risk and not to follow what is has been clearly stated that is advised not to do for a time. That 12steps.org, 12steps.org. So ways to communicate and to connect with, and to do so virtually as we are here today, and to do so through telephones and certainly texting and emailing, to reconnect us in a way that we've gotten away from it. And even as though it looks like we're connected in some of these social technologies and things, the truth is, and it's proven that even though it looks like we're connected in some of these ways, we're feeling more and more isolated. So now that we go into more of an actual physical isolation, I think it's a call to say, how can I, while I physically isolate, do the opposite for my spirit, for my emotional aspects, and for my spiritual aspects? So in more of a physical isolation, and to honor that and the wisdom of that. And then how then can I not isolate while I'm in isolation? And for example, I got out a big stack of greeting cards, and this is true confessions. When you think about people coming in your house to clean out your things after you're dead or gone or whatever, and it's like, oh my God, what would they think if they opened this drawer? And it's like, well, I don't have those drawers anymore, but the drawer that I had for the longest time was full of greeting cards, literal greeting cards, and I still buy them by the boxes. And I travel around in my car, and I still have a box of greeting cards in there. So I can't judge you for hoarding toilet paper or anything else. I'm hoarding greeting cards. And I got those greeting cards out and began, as I was sitting in my silent time and in my meditation time and in my wondering how I'm going to serve the people that I had said I would serve, and how I was going to do this with this new change, how I'm going to do it. And I got those greeting cards out and started to write love notes to them, and words of inspiration and words of thanks and appreciation and wholeheartedness. So find your way and how to do this as we navigate the winds of this. And I listened to a recording last night by Jack Canfield, a teacher over the years, many of you will know, and he quoted Jack Cornfield, who is not the same person, but he told a story that I remembered from decades ago, and how much that story meant to me, like a metaphor from a Buddhist teaching that said, with a Buddhist in training out in a desert, and a giant rock was near the path, and he asked the students, "Is that rock heavy?" All responded, "Well, yes, of course." Like, even dumb people would know that the rock is heavy. And what he said is, only if you try to move it, or only if you try to pick it up, or only if you actually pick it up. And then the weight of picking it up, and then the weight of holding it. And there's so much temptation to go into the mind, and to go into a future, and to go into what ifs, and to go into, and people that have had allergies for years, for example, with a tickle in their throat, are now like, oh no, even though I've had it for 20 years, it must be the virus. And it's like, no, to somehow circuit break that, to have some clarity of mind that can say, no, wait a minute, I've had that same kind of allergy response for 20 years. So it's more likely then that it's what's been going on for 20 years, not something that's blown in this last 60 days. So some way to circuit break that. Also, there's things like the work, any of you that are into inquiry, which is deep meditative work to see what's terrifying me, what thought terrifies me, what thought is tormenting me, what thought is causing the stress. It's free. It's at thework.com, and it's a way to get in there to see, what am I actually believing that's bringing this big emotional response? What is this? What am I believing that's causing my body to tremble or shake or terrify me? And then to isolate that thought and then say, is this actually true? Can I absolutely know this to be true, that this is how this is going to go? And it's rarely could we ever say that it's true. So we can't know an imagined future. and just looking into the future and saying and being aware of, hey, I'm imagining here. Whoa, I'm in an imagined future. That may be a way to circuit break that a bit, to say, okay, what's in front of me? What can I actually do today? And then one of my friends had her younger son has had an incident, like a stroke, and in a hospital, and she can't go see her own son. And it's one thing to hear, oh, people can't visit, or oh, they can't, the hospital shut down. It's one thing entirely to hear that. It's another thing entirely for it to be you and your family and your son and your daughter and your kids who are now on hand when they've been in a school, and who's going to be here with them, and who's going to pay for this, and where's the food going to come from. And these are real situations, and that's a part of the grief that we're in here. It's not just from the virus, but of all of this, the losses of, and whatever it is. And we can't know what a loss is. Somebody can say, oh my God, it's just a trip that canceled. It's like, well, to them, it wasn't just a trip that canceled. It could have been a trip to see a family member. It could have been what they believe is the last time they're ever going to see that family member. It could be somebody that they don't know how the family member is going to be cared for. It could be a bucket list trip. It could be something they've saved their whole life for to make that trip possible. An event. And then it's not just an event, like, oh, it was a speaker event. It's like, no, it's not just a speaker event. It's a convention center. It's union workers. It's people that were in there to make that event possible that also now don't have that work. And they also, and we know from looking at statistics that the majority of humans are just a paycheck away. So this anxiety is in response to a lot of grief and loss and worry and panic, not just from the illness, the actual virus in a body or the potential of that, but the consequences of how we're having to meet it physically, and to do so with. It's a time then for me to get back into my own wholeheartedness and to say then, like, it's my favorite part about humans, our resilience, like this abominable spirit that says, whatever it is, illness, loss, grief, change, whatever, that can just huddle up together or not huddle up together and get on live streams or whatever and support one another, and how we come back, how we keep coming back, and how we grow through it and use it. We grow through those challenges and do it. So the resilience of the human spirit is showing again right here, right now. The innovation of an open mind to say, how can I serve a community? How can I serve my community or a community? And to get very resourceful, innovative, thoughtful, intentional, and purposeful about that. And will shine through again and again and again. And as I drove here today for to do ministry in a different way, a song came on that I don't even know how it got on my phone. I've never put it on my phone. I have never heard it in my life. It started playing through my car, and it was of somebody's very specific, nuanced rendition of This Little Light of Mine, and how my grandmother, her grandmother, she said, reminded her in all of tough times, whenever times are tough, to go see the light, go find the light, go connect with the light, go remember that we're the light. So as we leave then today with how are we going to do this, an encouragement to get back into whatever spiritual practice works for you, prayer, meditation, programs, finding innovative, thoughtful ways to do it. And then I had prepared a few little things to share, which are very practical ways, including like last night, and I use this in two of the other groups I facilitate, to get back to tapping, for example, for emotional freedom techniques of tapping. You can find them online, and they're free to do that, accessible for everyone, and proven techniques and how to do it. It also includes just simply closing your eyes. When you start to get panicked or afraid, or it really starts to take over, just for a few seconds, to close our eyes, which can shut us off from the visual stimulation and the allure of the external world, to say what will help me to kind of come inward. And then a focus on our breath. We've heard it, every sage and seer and master teacher has told us for millennia to be aware of the breath. Watch the breath, and particularly when it gets tough, to track some conscious breathing as a way to restore ourselves, to keep our emotions, which are normal responses, in check a bit, so we can have emotions without them taking over. And that fear is natural, certainly will arrive. It's also from the instinct, a survival instinct. So some way then to be with fear and the nature of it, and that it's doing its job, we're wired for it, and how to have fear and have fear not have us. So that I can observe I am in fear and what the cause of it is, which will always can be tracked back to a thought, some thought that's causing that fear. And then to work with thinking any way we can, and the emotions, which are the effects of the thought, any way we can, for self-care, self-soothing, comforting, to offer understanding to ourselves, to be as generous with ourselves as we are with others. And I believe then, to the degree that we can bring that understanding and self-soothing and self-calming and self-care to ourselves, we're far more equipped to be able to offer it out into the world. And it's a high time right now, a very auspicious time for any of us who can, to be what I've written this week, some of you read, to be a broker of hope, and to circuit break some of the hype, and to come over to hope, and to notice the fear and allow for the fear, and to deepen our faith. All rainstorms eventually run out of rain. So be it words, daily words, scriptures, there's all sorts of things out there, way of songs and singing, listening to music, any of the programs, even your courses and classwork. Even though you may not be coming together for your classes, you can keep your classwork going and even take that to another level. So to write about it. So if you're reading and processing that way, to take it into actually some writing or something like that. Finding ways to meaningfully connect. And also things, whatever's worked for you, on how to put the mind focused on something without denying or going into some stupor about what's really going on, but what is actually working here? What progress have we made? So what can we actually lift up in gratitude or acknowledgement with, even in the light of this, even in the light of what's going on? How are things progressing? How are we moving forward and through this? And to give the mind some track to run on, at least, that includes that. So it's not just that pit of hell track, scary, torturing, terrifying track, but somehow to jump that track and to lay a new track that says there's that. There's also progress here, progression here. There's participation. There's some cooperation here, so that I can at least see both and. And then to keep your contact with your spiritual communities intact, even though you can't be there, to write your prayer request, call and serve somebody else in the ministry, use your time to send them cards or something like that. So find very innovative, meaningful, rich ways to keep your spiritual community lifted up and cared for during this time, and especially through the ways you give. And that this is a time now that we can't afford to have gaps in this, because the life of the community is dependent on that, and our own contributions. And the last one on the list is how we use our voice, and what we can do with the power of our voice, how we speak, what we say, and a smile. and the power of these basic kind of grassroots things that are medicine. All of this medicine. Medicine for the spirit, medicine for the body, medicine for immune systems, medicine for our emotional aspects, and just what that can do. So, how we can go about increasing that just a little bit. So, this was a quote somebody sent me today. Every hand that we don't shake must become a phone call that we place. Every embrace that we avoid must become a verbal expression of warmth and concern. Every inch and every foot that we physically place between ourselves and other people must become a thought as to how we might be of some help to others. Not should the need arise, as it arises. So there's plenty to be, and plenty to do, and plenty to create right now, and plenty to co-create. As we, the talk title today, which tickled me, I send them so far in advance, I forget what they are, and it's internal weatherproofing. An internal weatherproofing. So will the storms come? Since recorded history. So then our role and our responsibility to be the change we want to see in the world is to have an internal life and an internal process and an internal practice that can have some weatherproofing for these storms. And then to the degree that we can shine that light for, to, and with, through all that is, holographically and as the one. And I'm here to support you any way I can. You can reach me directly at marthacreek.com. And if this message is resonant with you at all, there's free videos there, 150 videos, 150 podcasts. You're welcome to have any of them. You're also welcome to use them to send them out to others if you believe they'd be a comfort or a support to others in any way. You're welcome to use it, because I know that I can reach this many, and then we can reach this many, and then Unity Palm Beach can reach this many, and then Unity can reach this many, and then eventually the whole of the world. And as one, not as others, as Reverend Taylor beautifully said today. So all blessings, and know that support is here in your spiritual community for you, and in me and others that are living a life of service and here to serve those who serve. Then it's a blessing to be able to do so. Yeah, so Godspeed, and let us hear from you, like how you're living this out and how you've enlivened your own practice and how you've innovated and created ways to navigate these winds. So it will inspire me, I'm sure, and others as then I bring it forth.